Just pivot off what John just said, because he said in his earlier remarks, we need a little more offense from the government. We in the private sector don't do offense. That actually might be one of those big new ideas in terms of recalibrating how it is we have to conduct ourselves in this new cyber domain. If you think back long enough in history, there are examples where the private sector was indeed responsible for its own defense, and private enterprises did a lot more than we think private enterprises should be doing right now in physical space. I mean, Google, for heaven's sakes, was attacked by the People's Republic of China. Now, I've only been in the private sector for under 3 years, but I don't think that's normal commercial behavior. Okay?
Depends where.
Yeah.
Well, I think there's, yes.
And so we may come to a point where defense is more actively and aggressively defined even for the private sector, and what is permitted there is something we would never let the private sector do in physical space. I mean, you look. Well, I mean, let me really throw out a bumper sticker for you here. How about a digital Blackwater? Okay, I mean, we have privatized certain defense activities even in physical space, and now you've got a new domain in which we don't have any past trampled down in the forest in terms of what it is we expect the government or will allow the government to do. And in the past, in our history, when that has happened, private sector expands to fill the empty space. I'm not quite an advocate for that, but these are the kinds of things that are going to be put into play here very, very quickly.
I'm going to come back to a point you just made, but first let me just run the tape back a little bit here. Digital Blackwater, are you suggesting that there be contractors you can hire as a digital heavy? Or can you explain that a little bit about how you would...
No, I can't explain it very well, but I'm going to do it anyway.
Okay.
But if you look at what's going on right now, I'm sorry, you have to step back a little bit. I apologize for this. Doctrinally, inside the Department of Defense, we view cyber as a domain, okay? Land, sea, air, space, cyber. And that's how I think about it. It's a very useful concept, not universally accepted within the U.S. government, getting back to, we haven't settled on the big cultural ideas yet, but it is within the Department of Defense. In this domain, okay, cyber, you are expected to defend yourself more than in any of the other 4 domains. You have a right, you have an expectation of far greater state activity to protect you in these 4 than you do in this 5th one. Okay, so I live in McLean, Virginia, got a nice post office. They're really good. The U.S. Postal Service Inspector General comes and inspects them. Customer satisfaction, good. Turn the mail around, good, 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 good. Oh, wait, one more question. How's your ballistic missile defense? Okay, that's a nonsense sentence, right? Of course it is. But it's not a nonsense sentence when the inspector says, I need to talk to you about your cyber defense. We have an expectation, because of the weakness of the state in this new domain, that we're out there a bit more on our own. Not quite Texas west of the Pecos, but it feels that way a lot. And in those kinds of circumstances, you and I may legitimately be expected, or we will have to, in order to provide a certain level of defense, to be more aggressive in how we define defense out there, either on our own or contracting it out to the private sector. And you're seeing this. There are mom and pop cyber businesses now popping up that are actually offering activities that look a little bit more than the latest patch on your firewall. That they're much more active in terms of what it is they define as defense. I don't know where it goes. We need to decide as a people what we think is legitimate, but keep in mind, at the formation of the Republic, and it's embedded in the Constitution, we have letters of marque and reprisal. So we have actually used this technique in one of those other domains in the past. So I'm just saying this is so new and such a discontinuity. These things are going to come into play, and we need to have adult conversations about what it is and is not that we view to be legitimate.